inspired by true principles of chaos theory and real infrastructure vulnerabilities. The science is real. The butterfly effect is real. The chain reactions are real. But the names have been changed. The events are fictionalized. Because this isn't about one story, it's about every story. This could happen anywhere, to anyone, including you. A broken bolt in Russia. Europe's grid collapsed in 2026. UK, France, Italy. A maintenance worker in a Siberian power plant replaces a bolt, but he uses the wrong size, 3 millimeters too small. The bolt holds, for now. 6 months later, winter hits Europe. Demand surges. The Russian gas pipeline to Europe operates at maximum capacity. On January 14, 2026, the faulty bolt snaps. A valve fails. The pipeline shuts down. Gas flow to Europe stops. The UK loses 40% of its energy supply overnight. France's nuclear plants can't compensate. Italy's hospitals lose power. Thousands freeze. Riots erupt in London. The French government falls. Italy declares a state of emergency. 87 people dead. Millions without heat. All because a mechanic in Siberia grabbed the wrong bolt from a toolbox. This is the broken bolt. This is the butterfly effect. Infrastructure is invisible until it fails. We flip light switches and expect electricity. We turn on heaters and expect warmth. We assume the systems that power modern civilization are robust, redundant, bulletproof. But they're not. They're held together by bolts, rivets, welds, seals, and every single one of those components was installed by a human being. Humans make mistakes. They use the wrong part. They skip a step. They're tired, distracted, rushed. And sometimes one wrong bolt in one remote facility in Siberia can bring an entire continent to its knees. This is the story of Dmitry Volkov, 34, a maintenance technician at the Gazprom Regional Compression Station outside Novosibirsk, Russia. On July 19, 2025, Dmitry was tasked with replacing a pressure relief valve on Pipeline 7, one of 12 pipelines that carry natural gas from Siberia to Europe through the Nord Stream network. The job required a specific M16 2.0 grade 10.9 bolt to secure the valve housing. Dmitry grabbed what he thought was the right bolt from the supply room. It wasn't. It was M16 Anang 1.5, 0.3 of a millimeter difference in thread pitch. Close enough that it threaded in. Close enough that it held. But not strong enough for the pressure it would face 6 months later. And on January 14, 2026, when Europe needed Russian gas more than ever, that bolt snapped and 87 people died. Novosibirsk, Russia, the bolt. Novosibirsk, Siberia, Russia, July 19, 2025. 2:34 p.m. The Gazprom Regional Compression Station is a sprawling industrial complex in the middle of nowhere. Endless snow in winter. Endless mud in summer. Dmitry Volkov has worked here for 11 years. He's a good technician. Competent. Reliable. But today, he's distracted. His daughter, Anna, 6 years old, is sick. His wife called 3 times already. High fever. The local clinic is 2 hours away. Dmitry wants to finish this shift and go home. He's replacing a pressure relief valve on Pipeline 7. Routine maintenance. He's done it 100 times. The old valve is corroded. He removes it, installs the new one. Now he needs the bolt to secure the housing. He walks to the supply room. Rows and rows of bins, bolts, nuts, washers. He's looking for M16 Enin X 2.0, grade 10.9. The bin is labeled. He grabs a handful, doesn't check the thread pitch, doesn't use a caliper, just assumes they're correct. He returns to Pipeline 7, threads the bolt in, it fits. tightens it with a torque wrench. Torque specs are met. Looks good. He signs off on the work order. Job complete. Dmitry goes home. His daughter recovers. Life goes on. The bolt holds for 6 months. Brussels, Belgium, the winter. Brussels, Belgium. January 2026. Europe is experiencing its coldest winter in 40 years. Temperatures in London drop to 80 degrees. Paris sees 12 years. Rome, a city that rarely freezes, hits 5 degrees. Energy demand across the European Union skyrockets. Heating, electricity, factories, hospitals. Everyone needs more power. The EU relies heavily on Russian natural gas to meet winter energy demand. Nearly 40% of Europe's gas comes through pipelines from Russia. The Nord Stream network, which includes Pipeline 7 in Novosibirsk, operates at maximum capacity. Engineers monitor pressure levels constantly. Everything is running at the edge of tolerance. On the morning of January 14, 2026, pressure in Pipeline 7 reaches 95 bar, just below the safety threshold of 100 bar. The system is designed to handle this. The pressure relief valve installed by Dmitry 6 months earlier is supposed to release excess pressure if it exceeds safe limits. But the bolt holding that valve housing is faulty. M16 ETEX 1.5 instead of M16 in EGAS 2.0. Under normal conditions, it would have held for years, but under maximum pressure in sub-zero temperatures with the metal contracting and expanding, the threads begin to fail. Novosibirsk, Russia, the snap. Novosibirsk, Siberia, Russia. January the 14th, 2026. 11:47 a.m. local time. The bolt snaps. A sharp metallic crack echoes through the compression station. The pressure relief valve housing separates from Pipeline 7. Natural gas begins venting into the atmosphere at 95 bar. Alarms scream. Automated safety systems detect the breach and immediately shut down Pipeline 7. The flow of natural gas to Europe stops. Technicians rush to the site. They see the broken bolt, the detached valve, gas hissing into the freezing Siberian air. The station supervisor, Igor Petrov, 52, makes the call to Moscow. We have a catastrophic failure on Pipeline 7. Full shutdown. Repairs will take at least 72 hours. In Moscow, Gazprom executives panic. Pipeline 7 supplies 15% of Europe's gas. They immediately notify the European Union Energy Commission in Brussels. Pipeline 7 is offline. We cannot deliver contracted volumes. Expect significant shortfalls for at least 3 days. London, United Kingdom, the blackout. London, United Kingdom, January 14th, 2026. 6:08 p.m. GMT. The UK's national grid receives the alert from Gazprom. Pipeline 7 is down. Gas imports from Russia are cut by 40%. The UK has strategic gas reserves, but they're already being drawn down due to the severe cold. National Grid issues an emergency alert to power plants across the UK. Reduce output where possible. But it's not enough. By 8 p.m., rolling blackouts begin across London. Entire neighborhoods lose power. Streetlights go dark. The London Underground shuts down. Heathrow Airport switches to backup generators. Hospitals activate emergency protocols. Thousands of homes lose heating in sub-zero temperatures. By midnight, the UK government declares a national energy emergency. Prime Minister Rebecca Hale addresses the nation. We are experiencing an unprecedented energy crisis due to a failure in Russian gas supply. We are working with European partners to secure alternative sources. Please conserve energy, stay indoors, check on vulnerable neighbors. But the damage is already done. Panic spreads. Grocery stores are mobbed. Gas stations run dry. Violence erupts in East London. Looters smash windows. Police are overwhelmed. Paris, France. The riots. Paris, France, January 15, 2026. France also relies heavily on Russian gas, though less than the UK. France's nuclear power plants can partially compensate, but not fully. President Émilie Rousseau orders emergency measures, reduce heating in government buildings, limit industrial energy use, and appeal to citizens to lower thermostats. But Parisians are freezing. Apartment buildings lose heat. Elderly people die of hypothermia in their homes. On January 16th, protests erupt in Paris. Thousands march on the Élysée Palace. Rousseau a échoué. Rousseau a échoué. Rousseau has failed. The protests turn violent. Cars are set on fire. Riot police clash with demonstrators. 5 people are killed. Rousseau's approval rating collapses to 18%. Opposition parties call for a vote of no confidence. On January 20th, Rousseau's government falls. France descends into political chaos. No gas, no government, no plan. Rome, Italy, the hospitals. Rome, Italy, January the 17th, 2026. Italy is hit hardest. With limited gas reserves and aging infrastructure, Italy cannot cope with the loss of Russian gas. Hospitals across Rome, Milan, and Naples lose power intermittently. Backup generators fail. Life support systems shut down. Surgeries are canceled. Dialysis patients miss treatments. On January 18th, at Ospedale San Giovanni in Rome, 12 patients on ventilators die when power fails for 40 minutes and backup generators don't activate in time. The Italian government declares a state of emergency. Military is deployed to maintain order. Prime Minister Giulia Moretti pleads with the EU for emergency energy shipments. But every country in Europe is struggling. There's nothing to spare. Italy spirals into crisis. 87 people die across the UK, France, and Italy from cold exposure, medical emergencies, and violence related to the energy collapse. Novosibirsk, Russia, the investigation. Novosibirsk, Siberia, Russia. January 17, 2026. Gazprom engineers examine the broken bolt under magnification. They immediately see the problem, wrong thread pitch. M16 ADAG 1.5 instead of M16 ADAG 2.0. Catastrophic failure under maximum pressure. They pull the maintenance logs, July 19, 2025. Technician Dmitry Volkov. Dmitry is called into the supervisor's office. Did you install this bolt? Dmitry looks at the report, looks at the photos. His stomach drops. I thought I grabbed the right one. I didn't check. I was in a hurry. My daughter was sick. The supervisor's face is stone. Because you didn't check, 87 people are dead in Europe. Gazprom is facing billions in penalties. Russia's reputation is destroyed, and you didn't check. Dmitry is fired, blacklisted. His career is over. He sits in his small apartment in Novosibirsk, staring at the wall, knowing that a single bolt that he grabbed from a bin without looking, killed 87 people 5,000 kilometers away. Brussels, Belgium, the aftermath. Brussels, Belgium, February 2026. Pipeline 7 is repaired. Gas flow resumes. But the damage is done. The UK begins aggressive plans to reduce dependence on Russian energy. France's political system is in chaos. Italy's hospitals are still recovering. The European Union passes emergency legislation mandating new infrastructure inspections across all member states. Gazprom faces $12 billion in penalties and lawsuits. Russia's energy dominance over Europe begins to crumble. And Dmitry Volkov? He never works in industrial maintenance again. He takes a job stocking shelves in a grocery store in Novosibirsk. Every night he thinks about that bolt. Every night he wonders, how many other bolts in how many other facilities, installed by how many other tired, distracted workers, are waiting to fail? Butterfly effect. A maintenance worker in Siberia grabs the wrong bolt. 0.3 of a millimeter too small. 6 months later, the bolt snaps under pressure. A gas pipeline shuts down. Europe loses 15% of its energy supply in the coldest winter in 40 years. The UK faces blackouts. France's government collapses. Italy's hospitals fail. 87 people die. Billions in damages. All because a man in Novosibirsk was in a hurry. All because he didn't check. This is the broken bolt. This is chaos. This is the butterfly effect.